Hi there. If you want to learn how to create sound effects, then you are in the right place. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to record sound effects at home to make sure you get the best quality possible. So I'm going to show you kind of my studio, my environment that I have here going on, but also I want to share some tips and things that you can do if you don't have a treated room, if you don't have a studio at home, how can you record better sound effects and give you some options there. So yeah, I just want to walk you through how I do it so that it gives you ideas of what you can do for yourself. All right, so the first thing that I'm going to do here is you want to make sure that you reduce all the noise or as much noise as possible. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to turn off my camera, turn off my studio monitors, because those do hum a little bit, even if it's very little, like you don't really hear it, but it can easily slip into like recording. So I just want to make sure that it's as clean as possible. I don't want any kind of background noise. So I'm going to do that right now. I don't remember if I said it, but I'm also going to turn off my computer and my computer monitors here because my computer does make noise. The fan does make noise, and I want this room as quiet as possible. It's not a very big room. I think it's something like 10 by 11 about. So yeah, I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to turn off computer and computer screens. All right, so I got those shutting down. Now, a few things you might want to consider and listen for are room lights. Sometimes they do hum or buzz a little bit. Mine are pretty quiet, so I'm not going to turn mine off. But also stuff like fans, maybe even fans in other rooms, stuff in other rooms, people walking around outside or in other rooms. So just have a listen. Just stand in your space where you are and just have a quick listen to what you do hear. If you do hear any kind of noise, make sure that you go in and turn it off if you can, obviously, to try to reduce as much noise as possible. So that's kind of step number one. That's the first thing I do before I start recording anything here, is I'm going to try to reduce as much noise as possible. All right, so my computer has now shut off, screen shut off, monitors shut off. So this room is pretty quiet. I'm pretty fortunate here that I do have a treated room. So I have sound panels on here. If you want to see like what I did to my studio here, I did a whole video about it. So I'll have it in the cards above if you're interested in seeing that. But even if you don't have a treated room, that's okay. You can still use your room, and I'll show you a few other things you can do or where you could record. For example, in a closet is a great place to record, especially if you have a lot of clothes. It's very dense in there. It's going to be a great place to kind of absorb sound and not have a lot of reflections in your recordings. And yeah, like I said, if you're not sure like what else makes noise, just take your recorder, plug in headphones, listen through your headphones, and start recording and just have a listen to what sounds you do hear, and try to minimize and reduce those sounds as much as possible. All right, number two, next thing that I'm going to do here is I want to reduce as much reflections as possible in my room. So like I said, I already have a treated room here. So that is like number one, is I already have reflections pretty well covered here just because I have sonopan on all the walls and ceilings here. So it's a pretty well treated room. Now, if you don't have that, one of the things you can do is use something like sound baffles. All right, now I don't personally have like high quality sound baffles, but what I do have are these little like cushions here. They're actually not very little. They're actually pretty big. These are like kids like play sofa thing that are kind of modular, and they can also like, you can move them around, right? So what I do with these is I kind of set them up like this here. Right, so I set them up like this so that they're on the ground and they're kind of blocking sound from the door, which I have in the corner over there. Right, so I have sounds that's going to be blocked here, and I'm also going to set up this one over here like this on this side. All right, so like that, I now have this center area here that I can work in, that I can record in. I'm blocking sounds from over there, and the reason for that is that I have a vent over there which is making noise if the fan or the furnace goes on. I have the door here, so if any noise from outside is coming in, it's going to have to go through this barrier here before it gets into my recorder, right? So I have the wall, I have the door, I have sonopan, and now I have even this. So it's like, it's very well isolated. Not a lot of sound is going to get into here, but even if it does, it's going to have to be pretty loud. So and now this is kind of like my work area. So you can do something similar at home if you have like big cushions, big pillows, sofa or mattresses, stuff like that, like big pillows. Yeah, just set those up around you in your work area, and then work down underneath within the confines of this space here. So that's what I'm going to do here. So I kind of have that set up now. I'm kind of ready to go. All right, the next thing we're going to do here is choose a recorder. So I like to keep things really, really simple here. So if you're just starting out, just use your phone. Use your phone. Use whatever you have to record. It doesn't have to be special or unique or super high end or super expensive. Use what you have. Personally, I like to keep things simple. So for me, most of the time now, I just use my Sony D100 recorder. It is a very expensive recorder. I think it's something like $1,000 USD. It's discontinued, so you can't even buy it if you wanted to. But if you're looking at some nice whatever, field recorders, handheld recorders, I would look at the Tascam X6, X8. I think the Zoom also has their new like 32-bit handheld recorders, which I haven't tried, but I'm sure they're equal in performance. So I would check those out. But yeah, so for me, I'm going to use my Sony D100. All right, so here it is. Here's the Sony D100, and if I take off the windscreen here, you can see here it's a stereo recorder here. So I have two microphones, and pretty much all of the time they're going to be in XY position, just like that. Right? If I'm recording something that I want in a faux mono kind of sound, I'll have them both upwards like this. For example, like I've done that for like footsteps, recording footsteps. It's pretty rare that I do that though. And then if I'm doing ambiances, they'll be wide like that. Right? For everything else though, I'm going to be in XY, which is like 90+% of the time. This is what I'm recording in. Now, the other thing is, like you just saw here, I put down my windscreen. I always record with my windscreen, even if I'm in the house, just because you never know, like if I'm washing something or whatever. I just don't want any wind getting into the recording and ruining recordings, but also it's to protect the microphones, and it doesn't really block off too much of the high end, like nothing that is detrimental to the sound in my experience. So most of the time, I'm going to keep my wind muff on here, so that's what I'm going to do right now. All right, so here we go. This is what I'm going to use. Now, if you don't have this, another like really common microphone to use is just a shotgun microphone. It's just going to be a mono microphone, and that's totally fine, totally great, totally works for sound effects. So again, like I said, I try to keep it as simple as possible. Shotgun mic or this, like 99% of the time, that's what I'm going to use at home. All right, so I am now on the ground, and this is where a lot of my recordings are going to take place, is usually lower to the floor. If you're more comfortable, you could always set up a table and put some padding on the table so that it doesn't vibrate or resonate or anything like that. I like to personally work on the floor. I have a lot more space here. And also one of the things I do is I have my a little carpet here on the ground, right? So if you look here, I have a carpet here, and this is to help absorb the noise from the floor, that unwanted noise, right? Because the floor can be quite resonant, but with the carpet, it helps absorb the sound. Now, once I have that carpet here, then what I can do is I can add any other kind of surfaces on top if I want like a wood sounds, wood impacts or whatever. I might be recording stuff on wood or metal or whatever. Like I can put the stuff on top of this carpet and then go from there. So I always keep this carpet here. I like that. Now, in terms of like recording now, I'm pretty much ready to start. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do right now is I'm going to put on my headphones and I'm going to plug them into my recorder. All right, perfect. So I'm not going to turn on my recorder. And again, like I said before, if you've never done this before, just have a listen to what is making noises right now before you even start recording, so that you can have an idea of what's going to make it into your recording. All right, so I don't have much sound right here, so this is good. It's pretty quiet. I like this setup right now. I'm pretty happy with it. So now, next thing that I would normally do here is I would have some sort of tripod or something to put on the microphone, just so it's a bit elevated off the ground, so it's not directly on the ground, so it doesn't pick up vibrations from the ground, and so that whenever I'm recording, I can be in line with the axis of the microphones, right? So I don't want to record super low on the ground where the microphone's flat on the ground. It's going to be really hard to get any kind of recordings down there. So I normally have to have it. I like to have it elevated a little bit. So I'm going to see what I can do here. Maybe I can find something to put it on. All right, so like I said, I like to have it elevated normally. So I found this little box. I'm going to put it on this thing here. Normally I have it on the tripod, but right now my phone's on that tripod, so I'm not using that right now. But there we go. So let me show you what that looks like here. All right, so here's my recorder on the little box. It's elevated off the ground, so whatever I'm recording would be around this height here, right? So I want it in front of the microphone here. And again, here I'm going to be careful about how close I am to the microphone. Sometimes you want to be really close to get that proximity effect. Sometimes you don't. You want to be more distant. For this here, I'm just going to be doing some like metal hits with this T-bar here and a hammer. So it's going to get pretty loud. So first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to turn on my recorder. And if I can bring this closer, I'll show you what it's doing. I don't know how well I can capture this here, but okay. So here is the sound. Now I already have it in set to record, and so it's not recording yet until I press the pause button, and then it's going to start to record. But from here, I can see the input signal right up here. All right. So now what I can do is I can put this down and start doing some hits here, and see how loud my signal is. So right now it's pretty low, so I can turn up the gain a little bit. Basically, I want the gain to be around, I don't know, -6 maybe. I'm going to turn the volume here. So I want the gain to be around, whatever, -6 to -12. I do have a limiter on, so even if I go over, it won't be a big deal, but there we go. right? So I can see here I'm peaking a little bit, so I'll turn it down a little bit because I do want pretty hard hits. And there you go. All right. So now that I have my gain set, my level set, I'm ready to record. So I'm just going to record and we'll go from there. All right, so that is it. It is a pretty short recording, but I'm not going to do too much more than that. And one of the pro tips that I'm going to give right now is for any beginners that are just starting out, and maybe if you haven't done a lot of recordings at home, is do very, very short sessions at once, right? So what I've done right now, I only did like, I don't know, 10, 20 hits maybe. I'm going to take that and put it directly into my computer and start listening to what I have so far, right? I want to hear right away what my recording looks like, what it sounds like. I'm going to put it into Isotopes RX. I want to see if there's any noise, any outside noise coming in. I want to see what it looks like, what it sounds like, right? How did my recording go, right? And basically what I want to do is shorten the feedback loop as much as possible so that I can improve as fast as possible, right? So that I can get more reps in, more recordings in, and as I do that more and more, I'm going to get better and better recordings, right? So that is the idea behind this, is that keep your sessions as short as possible, especially when you're just starting out, so that you can get that feedback loop going and you can get feedback from your recordings, know what they sound like once they're in your computer versus what it sounded like when you were recording them, right? So that way you get that feedback as soon as possible. All right, and that's basically it. This is my recording session. This is how I record stuff at home. Like I said, if you don't have all these things, grab pillows, go in your closet, put pillows around you, have a little carpet on the ground, and then start recording following exactly what I showed here with setting your levels and listening with your headphones and everything else. So anyways, I hope this is useful and valuable and kind of seeing like how I record sounds at home. It's not really complex or complicated. I try to keep it as simple as possible so that I can work as quickly as possible, and hopefully that encourages you to do the same thing. So yeah, if you have any questions, comments, leave it down below. And if you want to see another video where I talk about how to get better recordings at home, I did a whole video of like 5 tips that you can use to get better recordings at home. So I'll have that in the cards above if you're interested in seeing that. So that's it for now. Thanks so much for watching all the way to the end. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.